What's up, everybody? We were first introduced to the character Sterling Black in episode 203 at K9 spot, where he had a knife and he had just finished stopping a guy from cheating in a card game. And when Meech asked K9 about letting people with weapons in his spot, K9 told Meech that the rules ain't the same for everybody. So we saw Sterling Black, the leader of the PAs, again in episode 6, as Meech tries to reach out to them to take care of Lamar and to move some work for him. So he finds them at a party, and they really didn't want nothing to do with Meech at first, but then they get into a fight, and Meech just jumps into the fight with them. And all of them get kicked out, and that's when they decide to go ahead and meet up with Meech and work with him. So they're moving to work and everything for Meech. Everything is going good, but the hit on Lamar did not go good because he killed both of the PA hitmen who were sent to do the job on Lamar. So I want to take a minute to talk about the persons that Sterling Black, that his character is based upon. So I did a documentary right before, a short documentary right before BMF Season 2 came out on the BMF. And someone who was actually from Detroit commented on my video and said that they were glad that Meech and T were able to make it out of Detroit, because at that time it was very dangerous in the streets. I'm not quoting him word for word reading the comment, but I'm just basically saying what he said. Basically, at that time it was very dangerous in the streets because you had Layden the Beast Simon running around, and of course that is the character that Lamar is based upon. And then he mentioned someone I had never heard of before at this time, and it was the Brown brothers. And this is who the character Sterling Black is based upon. It is a group of 4 brothers, and they only got one character in the show, but I guess he's kind of a combination of all 4 of these brothers, just like the character Lamar in BMF is a combination of both Layden the Beast Simon and his brother, who was killed the night that Lamar got shot. So I want to talk about these brothers for a minute, because these brothers caused chaos in the streets of Detroit. So I found a little thread about them that I wanted to read for you, just to introduce to you this Sterling Black character, to show that he is absolutely gonna be a major problem moving forward, and him and the PAs are very, very dangerous. So here's the thread. I'm gonna read it for you now. The Brown brothers, Ezra, Gregory, Reginald, and Terrence, grew up on Detroit's east side near Patriot and I-94. Their father, Ezra Sr., worked at Chrysler for 32 years. Their parents regularly attended Zion Hope Missionary Baptist Church, not far from the family home. The 4 Brown brothers began their life of crime around the early 80s. They started off as a murder-for-hire gang, the Ghoulies, before infamously becoming known as the Best Friends Gang. They were each burly, menacing characters who induced fear on the streets of Detroit. There was the oldest, Ezra, the Wizard Brown. He began to get into trouble at an early age, mainly petty crimes that got him probation. When the boys joined forces in 1985 to form the Best Friends, that's when he graduated to contract killings and muscle for drug dealers. Gregory the Ghost Brown was the second oldest. He too began committing petty crimes in the early 80s, which landed him on probation. He and Ezra would wear shirts, jackets, and hats with the words "best friends" embroidered across the front in big bold letters. Reginald Rocking Reg Brown was the third oldest and leader of the Best Friends gang, bringing his 3 brothers and more than 50 others along for the ride. Reggie built the Best Friends up to be the most feared and respected group on the streets of Detroit, probably ever. The baby boy of the Best Friends gang was Terrence Boogaloo Brown. Just like his 3 older brothers, Terrence was hot-headed and ready to kill. He was a suspect on several high-profile murders in Detroit in the late 1980s. They were said to kill whoever, whenever. The Best Friends started off as hitmen and muscle for the top Detroit drug dealer Richard Maserati Rick Carter and his business partner Demetrius Holloway. While the murder for hire money, $10,000 to $30,000 per hit, was good for the Brown brothers, they wanted the same piece of the pie as the dope dealers, Maserati Rick and Meech Holloway. They got into the dope game through Maserati and became major players, much to Holloway's dismay. The Brown brothers were known to wear fancy clothing, large gold chains, and drove nice cars like Volvos and BMWs. Their hangout spots were the strip on Belle Isle and now closed Rado's Lounge and UBQ near the neighborhood of Van Dyke and Harper. That was their drug and crime area. The reign of the Best Friends was short-lived, but in their time in Detroit had caused so much havoc and racked up enough enemies to fill up Tiger Stadium, implicated in over 80 known murders. Competing dealers were tired of being robbed, bullied, and killed and wanted them all dead. The first to die was Ezra Wizard Brown. He was shot in the head and killed on December 20th, 1986, sitting in a blazer with Terrence Boogaloo Brown. Boogaloo was shot in the head but managed to throw a brick into the nearby 7th precinct to alert police. Wizard was just 24. December 27th, 1986, the day of Ezra's funeral, Gregory the Ghost Brown was shot in the head and killed in a drive-by shooting near Pat's Lounge on Gatria and Peter Hunt on Detroit's east side. He was wearing the same tuxedo he wore to his brother's funeral. Ghost was 23. With older brothers Wizard and Ghost dead, Rocking Reggie and Boogaloo went about business as usual, killing and trying to take over the East Side dope territory. In the following year, they would commit a number of murders that would ultimately lead to their own demise. June 13th, 1987, Best Friends enforcer Patrick Lunchmeat Jackson was killed by the remaining Brown brothers for stealing. August 17, 1987, 17-year-old Mark Murray was killed and dumped in a ditch by Best Friends reps in Flint, Antonio and Willie James Smiley, for stealing. Known as a ladies' man, Stephen Freaky Steve Russell, the right-hand man to White Boy Rick Wersch, had been beefing with Rocking Reg over a woman for months. So, September 21st, 1987, Reggie shot and killed him as he laid on his couch near Gatria in 6 Mile. He was 20. Reginald Rocking Reg Brown was convicted and given life for Russell's murder in 1988. He was released due to appeal in 1992. He shot and killed 4 more people, including a 3-year-old in Buckingham, after Alfred Chip Austin was believed to have been talking to the feds. Reginald Rocking Reg Brown committed several other murders while out on bond. Probably a huge mistake by 36th District Court. He went on to run with brother Terrence Boogaloo Brown before being captured at a BMW shop in New York City in 1993. He's now doing life in prison. Terrence Boogaloo Brown was the last to be born and the last to walk the streets of Detroit. When he and his brothers started their life of crime, they worked for James Big Lamar. Boogaloo killed him in front of the St. Regis Hotel on the corner of Woodward and Boulevard. Terrence Boogaloo Brown fled from the feds in 1993. August 1993, he was found dead in Atlanta, wrapped in a garbage bag in green Ralph Lauren polo sheets, stuffed in a back of a Yukon. All he had on was underwear and a Shaquille O'Neal shirt, mouth taped. He was 25. Before Terrence Boogaloo Brown was killed, he killed his top lieutenant and best friends, Jimmy the Bruiser Denard. For that, his other underbosses, Stacy the Machine Colbert and Charles Chucky Doo Wilkes, were believed to have taken out their boss in Atlanta. And there you have it. That is the story of the Brown brothers, giving you more insight and background on the character who we now see on BMF as Sterling Black. Leave your thoughts in the comments.